Hey guys, thanks for joining in. Today in this video we're going to be reviewing the Underhill low flow full throttle hose nozzle and comparing that to the high flow full throttle hose nozzle. So low flow on the left, high flow on the right. So you can see both of these units look almost identical. There's a little bit of difference here in the top with the rubber. You do notice a bit of shaft diameter difference, in the low flow is wider, just a smidge taller on the low flow. And then on the inside, what I'll show you here is there's a bit of a difference too. This is the low flow full throttle. You can see a pattern in there with a wider orifice, it looks like. And this is the high flow full throttle. That diameter difference here, right there, is actually just a gasket. Tops of the nozzles look almost identical. The feel, fit, and finish is absolutely identical between the two. In this video, we're going to be running flow rate tests. We're going to check our pounds per square inch of pressure at the tap, and we're going to be using a 3/4 inch high flow hose. So that's 3/4 inch internal diameter hose. Water pressure on my property is regulated to about 80 psi at the front main. We're going to test both of these nozzles patterns and their total spray distance and compare them head to head to see which one is right for you. And before we continue on this video, I want to make a word of caution. Water spigots like these absolutely will not work for this application. You need to have a high flow water spigot that is the type that involves a ball valve. These simply will not work. Watch my previous video to find out why. So none of the little cruddy twist turn spigots, because those have tiny inside diameter orifices. Watch my previous video on that and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Water pressure at the end of the hose here is at approximately 80 psi. First we'll be testing the Underhill low flow full throttle nozzle. Let's open it up and go for full distance. Fine-tuning it to adjust. Looking down range, we're almost getting near to that green electrical box at the front of my yard, but not quite getting there. Now we'll test some different spray patterns. We'll go wider. So that's full wide there. Bringing it in a little narrower. Now we're going to test the high flow full throttle nozzle, going for distance first. Let's open it up. This is going well out past that green electrical box, probably 15 feet out past it, give or take. Let's change some nozzle patterns. Wide open. Heavy fog. Little narrower. Lots of water movement here, guys, and lots of power on this. I have to physically hold the nozzle forward here in a really nice tight straight beam. Right there is about the money there. Amazing penetration there and high flow and high distance. This is the low flow full throttle. This is the high flow full throttle. Alright guys, after testing the low flow full throttle underhill nozzle versus the high flow full throttle underhill nozzle, it is very apparent that they're two very different nozzles. The low flow full throttle reminds me of like one of those cheaper brass attachment hoses that you can buy at Home Depot for 15 bucks. You don't get any more power, you don't get any more penetration out of the hose. It just feels like a standard product. It doesn't really do anything for you. It doesn't increase distance. It doesn't utilize the power of a 3/4 inch hose. In my eyes, this would be good for applications where you have really low water pressure, say like 40 PSI. This might be something that you would look at. Otherwise, I'd probably stay away from this if you have higher water pressure. It didn't give me the fizz, so to speak, like the other nozzle does. Now this high flow full throttle nozzle, this thing is absolutely incredible. So number one, you get tons of water penetration. So this thing shoots water much further. You get way more gallons per hour out of the nozzle, and this translates to getting more water on the ground, more water on a fire, more water anywhere that you need to provide water source. One thing I noticed about this high flow full throttle nozzle is it actually, when you have this thing wide open at a jet stream, it will actually throttle your arm back, and you have to apply forward pressure on the nozzle to keep the thrust from pushing the hose out of your hand. Now, it's not a lot. It's not like a fireman's hose or something like that, but it's enough that if you were to never use this and you picked it up and did it for the first time, you go, whoa, that's kind of cool. So if you're really weak in the arms, you know, terrible grip strength or really weak forearms, then maybe I wouldn't suggest this hose to you either, because it's not the easiest one to hold on high flow. You actually need to apply some forward pressure, otherwise the hose is going to want to push you back a little bit. This 3/4 inch underhill high flow full throttle nozzle is absolutely awesome because it utilizes your 3/4 inch hose, your high flow ball valve, and it's going to utilize the higher amounts of gallons per hour that you're going to be able to put downstream. So this utilizes that extra water that you're tapping into, and this low flow full throttle simply just does not do that. I would suggest the high flow full throttle system, and again, I have to reiterate that you're going to see a lot of bad reviews online of these things. That's because people don't do their homework and they don't set up their garden equipment correctly or their fire suppression equipment correctly. In order to utilize these nozzles, you need to have not only good pounds per square inch of water pressure, but you have to have good flow. Those are two very different things. In this case, having greater flow means you need a bigger diameter hose, so a 3/4 inch internal diameter hose, but you also need a water spigot that can flow a lot of water. So you need to use something like a 3/4 inch or a 1 inch ball valve, the quarter turn ball valves. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to refer to my previous video where I talk all about this. I'm going to show you how I went to a higher gallons per hour, higher flow rate water system. So in order to utilize nozzles like these, you have to have good flow and good PSI. Otherwise, they simply will not work. If you're interested in buying one of these nozzles, guys, I'll be linking both the underhill low flow and the high flow full throttle nozzles on my Amazon page with an affiliate link at no extra cost to you. So if you enjoyed the video and it gave you some education on both nozzles and it helped you to pick out which one you need, please give me the support and go ahead and click on the Amazon affiliate link below. And since you're also looking at the high flow nozzles, you really need to get a high flow 3/4 inch inside diameter hose. I'll be creating a video probably at some point here talking about which hose system I went with. This is just a small 10-foot test piece, but I was really impressed with this hose for the price so far. So this is what I'll be using in a 100-foot variant. Thanks for sticking around. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next adventure.